Hello, everyone. Today is March 31st, 2020, and you're here on this video because you are going to read chapter 7 with me from our Read Aloud book, Charlotte's Web. So I know that you have been watching our videos and we've been doing different skills, different strategies with this chapter book. We've been doing textual evidence, making inferences, predictions, solving the meaning of unknown words. So today we are going to continue making inferences and finding textual evidence to support our inference based on a character that we choose to study. Along with that, we are still going to find the meaning of juicy unknown words. So I'm going to ask you to take out your reader's workshop notebook and title it the date, March 31st. And you are going to put chapter 7 and the name of this chapter. This title is called Bad News. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I start reading, I want to just clarify that when we are doing our read alouds for this chapter book, you do have a T-chart with 3 different columns that you're continuously writing in. So the last time that you did that was for the last chapter, and you made chapter 6. You made an inference on Gander. So this is an example that you in chapter 6, this is what you were doing in chapter 6. So it's Gander does not find Templeton to be trustworthy. And then textual evidence, Gander warns Templeton to stay away from his geese. On page 46, it clearly describes what type of character this rat is. The rat had no morals, no conscience, no scruples, no consideration, no decency, and no compunction. And then you wrote down in the 3rd column what the motivation was. And so this makes me think that Gander is motivated by the fact that he needs to protect his family. So today we are going to start with chapter 7. These are some of the words that we need to keep an eye out for. So we will get to them as soon as we start. So make sure that you have your 3 T-chart titled Inference About Character Traits, Textual Evidence, and the Motivation. You're just adding on to the previous T-chart. You're not creating a new one. Okay, so we're going to get started. Chapter 7, Bad News. Wilbur liked Charlotte much better and better each day. Her campaign against insects seemed sensible and useful. I'm going to stop there. Campaign means a plan to put in place to ensure a particular outcome. So in this case, Charlotte's campaign, her plan, was against insects seemed sensible and useful. Want to continue? Hardly anybody around the farm had a good word to say for a fly. Flies spent their time pestering others. Pestering. Do you know what pestering means? Pestering means to be annoying or just always in people's way. So when we think about flies, we think about how they're always pestering. They're just annoying all over our food, always everywhere. So that's what pestering means. And so flies spent their time pestering others. The cows hated them. So when I think about cows, there's always a bunch of flies around them. The horses detested them. The sheep loathed them. So I'm going to stop there. Loathe. Loathe means, some intense dislike or disgust. So when we think about these animals, like the cows hated them, the horses detested them, the sheep loathed them. So that means that the sheep were also, they don't like the flies. They're disgusted by them. Mr. and Miss Zuckerman were always complaining about them and putting up screens. Wilbur admired the way Charlotte managed. He was particularly glad that she always put her victim to sleep before eating it. So think about it. Charlotte's a spider. So she puts her insects, she wraps them up and basically kills them so they're not as pestering as other insects. So Wilbur admired the way Charlotte managed. She was particularly glad that she always puts her victim to sleep before eating it. It's real thoughtful of you to do that, Charlotte, he said. Yes, she replied in her sweet musical voice. I always give them an anesthetic so they won't feel pain. It's a little service I throw in. So when we think about the word anesthetic, you can see it right here on the slide. A lot of doctors use anesthetics. It just basically helps induce, it's a substance that induces, pain. It's the intensity of the pain. So when we think about a spider putting her insects to sleep, it's basically she's injecting them with her poison. So as the days went by, Wilbur grew and grew. So remember, Wilbur was a little tiny piglet and he's growing up now. He ate 3 big meals a day. Wow, Leo, I think eats 2 meals a day, but I think he can eat a lot more. He's not a pig though. He spent long hours lying on his side, half asleep, dreaming pleasant dreams. He enjoyed good health and he gained a lot of weight. One afternoon, when Fern was sitting on her stool, the oldest sheep walked into the barn and stopped to pay a call on Wilbur. Hello, she said. Seems to me you're putting on weight. Yeah, I guess I am, replied Wilbur. At my age, it's a good idea to keep gaining. Just the same, I don't envy you, said the old sheep. You know why they're fattening you up, don't you? No, said Wilbur. Well, I don't like to spread bad news, said the sheep, but they're fattening you up because they're going to kill you, that's why. They're going to what? Screamed Wilbur. Fern grew rigid on her stool. Ooh, I like that word, rigid. Let's go back into our slide. Rigid means stiff, not bendable. So Fern had no idea that this old sheep was just going to spread some bad news and maybe hurt Wilbur's feelings by telling him that they're fattening him up to kill him. So she's rigid on her stool. She's stiff. She doesn't know what to do. Kill you, turn you into smoked bacon and ham, continued the old sheep. Almost all young pigs get murdered by the farmer as soon as the real cold weather sets in. There's a regular conspiracy around here to kill you at Christmas time. Everybody is in the plot. Lurvy, Zuckerman, even John Arable. So there was a juicy word there. The word is conspiracy. So conspiracy means a plan to that is put in place to do something awful. So the old sheep is telling Wilbur the conspiracy about all these years. Her conspiracy is that they fatten up the pigs just to murder them and kill them around Christmas time to eat as smoked bacon and ham. Mr. Arable, sobbed Wilbur, Fern's father? Certainly, when a pig is to be butchered, everybody helps. I'm an old sheep and I see the same thing. Same old business year after year. Arable arrives with his .22, shoots the... Stop, screamed Wilbur. I don't want to die. Save me, somebody, save me. Fern was about to jump up when a voice was heard. Be quiet, Wilbur, said Charlotte, who had been listening to this awful conversation. And here's an illustration. Here's the old sheep. Here's Wilbur sobbing and weeping and getting all sad about his death. I can't be quiet, screamed Wilbur, racing up and down. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to die. Is it true what the old sheep says, Charlotte? Is it true they're going to kill me when the cold weather comes? Well, said the spider, plucking thoughtfully at her web, the old sheep has been around this barn a long time. She has seen many a spring pig come and go. If she says they plan to kill you, I'm sure it's true. It's also the dirtiest trick I have ever heard. What people don't think of. Wilbur burst into tears. I don't want to die, he moaned. I want to stay alive. right here in my comfortable manure pile with all my friends. I want to breathe the beautiful air and lie in the beautiful sun. You're certainly making a beautiful noise, snapped the old sheep. I don't want to die, screamed Wilbur, throwing himself to the ground. You shall not die, said Charlotte briskly. Now let's look at the word briskly. Briskly means active in an energetic way. So Charlotte has her positive outlook on the situation. She's trying to calm Wilbur down. So let's continue. What, really? Cried Wilbur. Who's going to save me? I am, said Charlotte. How? Asked Wilbur. That remains to be seen, but I am going to save you, and I want you to be quiet immediately. You're carrying on in a childish way. Stop your crying. I can't stand hysterics. And we have hysterics here on our slide. So she's basically, so hysterics means when somebody's like super emotional and or has their reaction's super exaggerated. So you can see a visual here that this lady, she just can't stand any hysterics. So we're going to connect that, and Charlotte does not want to see Wilbur be hysterical and basically crying and bursting into tears because she's trying to calm him down and just reassure him that she's going to save him. So take a look at this illustration one last time. Let's make an inference. Let's make an inference. So now is the time that, so that was the end of chapter 7 actually. Now is the time to pull out your reader's notebook and make sure that you're adding and continuing from your previous T-chart. And we're going to fill in this first part, inference about character traits. We're going to exit out of this. Here we go. And now let's add on here. Let's make an inference on, let's just do it on Wilbur since he's being hysterical right now. So let's see. Wilbur was given bad news and can't seem to control his emotions. Okay, so that's an inference that we think that he can't control his emotions. So the textual evidence for that, Wilbur, let's do the old sheep told Wilbur he was gaining weight so that he can later be murdered, or let's just say butchered. Butchered's the proper term. Butchered for Christmas time. Now, this is considered textual evidence because I'm going to tell you the page that we can find that information. Good readers always make sure that they write their textual evidence to back up their opinion or fact. So on page, where was it? Where he was telling him he's going to be made into ham and bacon. Right here on page 49. On page 49, the text says, you put a comma, parentheses, because you're quoting from the book. It's not your own words. And it says right here, I'm looking for it. Here you are. They are going to kill you and turn you into smoked bacon, which, by the way, is amazing. It tastes so good. You into smoked bacon and ham. And due to this comment that the old sheep told Wilbur, he burst into tears, he went hysterical, he couldn't control his emotions. So based on this textual evidence, I can support my inference that he can't control his emotions, because what happens next is that he's, you know, losing his mind, and Wilbur is just bursting into tears. So Wilbur burst into tears and can't stop screaming, "I don't want to die." And I'm also putting that into quotations because those are specific words that Wilbur says. Now that we did, let me make this a little smaller so that everything fits. There we go. And this makes me think, so the motivation behind Wilbur not knowing how to control these emotions due to the bad news that old sheep gave him, and he's bursting into tears and he's being hysterical. I think the motivation behind that is that Wilbur just wants to be saved. Wilbur wants to be reassured. He wants someone to assure him. He wants to be reassured that somebody will save him. And that's why Charlotte, at the end of the chapter, was trying to get him to calm down and let him know that she's going to be the one to save him. But throughout the chapter, he lost his mind and doesn't want to die, so he doesn't know how to control his emotions due to the bad news. Now, after listening to the chapter, what would be the perfect title? The title that was given is Bad News. If you want to give it a different title, now is the time. After listening to the chapter, what would be the perfect title? And you would write in your notebook, I would title chapter 7, or I would title this chapter because okay? So I'm going to present that one last time. You can pause the video here and write down your notes, but make sure at the end you give it a perfect title. And at the end of this video, you need to write a summary. So let's take a look at this summary that Ms. Alonso wrote. Chapter 7, super short, super, down to the point. Wilbur is finally told by the old sheep that there is a plan for him by Lervy, Zuckerman, and even John Arable, Fern's dad, to kill him around Christmas time. Wilbur is completely taken back to the news, and he can't control his outburst, sobbing and wailing. Wailing means just loud crying. Wilbur shouts, I don't want to die. Somebody help me. Charlotte reveals that she will save him, but first she insists he calms down and stops being hysterical. So now it's your turn to write your own summary. You can pause this video, read it one last time to yourself, draw an illustration, have fun with it, and I will see you all soon.